Hey guys, Spirit of the Law here. It's a brand new year, which means it's the perfect time to revisit the age-old question: what are the best civilizations in AoE2? Now that's a title that's open to interpretation, especially when it comes to what map we're talking about. And for example, the number one civ on Arena is in fact the third worst on Arabia. So to that point, we're going to take a look at a few of the most popular maps individually. I'm also going to keep this primarily with 1,000 to 2,000 ELO players in mind, as things get a bit different at very high and also lower levels. Some people say civ choice only matters at the highest skill, but since the majority of players searching this topic are probably not in the top 0.1% by definition, I'm going to favor civilizations that are crushing it at the level I think a lot of you guys are at, or probably trying to work toward. Without further ado, let's jump in, starting with the best in team games. To briefly summarize, the meta for team games tends to separate civs into one of two roles. Either the flank civs on the sides, where players often choose archer civs, or the pocket players in behind, who typically focus on cavalry for the extra mobility. While you don't have to play the standard team game meta, players assume you know this, and will fall into those roles by default. The top three flank archer civs on Arabia these days are Britons, Mayans, and then Ethiopians at number 1. To start with Britons, in addition to just being an excellent archer civ, especially once their extra range bonus kicks in, don't underestimate the boost from their team bonus here, helping not just themselves, but the other flank player produce archers and research techs like the crossbowman upgrade 10% faster. They're an always popular and solid pick, with a decent rush and an excellent boom on their cheaper town centers. Slightly less popular, but seemingly just as strong, are then the Mayans, centered around a major discount on their archer units, a great economy overall, the potential of eagles in the late game, as well as their own reasonably helpful team bonus for half-price walls. Just about everyone in team games walls these days, so those are some nice early wood or stone savings. For their part, the number 1 civ Ethiopians are also the most popular Team Arabia pick period, carried a lot by their faster firing archers. Easy to overlook is they have a little extra aggressive archer opening as well, thanks to 200 free resources when hitting Feudal Age, which puts them on par with other civs that have very good Dark Age bonuses. Any two of these three picks would be a great choice on the flanks in any open map team game. As for the best pocket civs, these are naturally going to have a cavalry focus, with the top three recently being Persians, Franks, and then Slavs at number 1, though Magyars are also quite popular and a great choice. Starting with Persians, they're a fantastic booming civ with faster working town centers and some extra starting resources. Their stable then gives a lot of choice, including camels, knights with extra attack against archers for the whole team, and the unique Savar upgrade to the Cavalier, which through extra bonus damage against archers and more pierce armor, feels strictly better than a paladin when archers are in the mix. They're edged out ever so slightly though, both in terms of win rate and popularity, by the Franks. This is the quintessential knight civilization, having extra food income early, always longer lasting farms to power your knight spam, with the knight line then getting a better version of free bloodlines. They're an incredibly strong cavalry civ, and also very streamlined towards that strategy, though also don't overlook their cheaper castles as well, which can be great for establishing map control and pressuring an opponent. Still, they're not quite number 1 at the moment in pocket, as that title instead goes to the Slavs. While they're much less popular than the other two we've just seen, their 15% faster farmers in practice seem to be just a tiny bit more effective than Franks these days, as food often is the bottleneck in Castle Age, and as long as the game lasts at least 20 minutes, having someone playing Slavs on your team gives you a nice bump in win rate, particularly as skill level improves. So those are the highest performing team game civ picks recently, and now let's move on to the 1v1 civs. I'm going to break this into the 4 most popular maps, at least 2 or 3 of which are guaranteed to be in every new map pool this year in ranked and quick play. So whether you're going try hard, just testing the waters for the first time, or looking to stop a losing streak, these are the ones you want to have in your back pocket. We'll start with the best civs on Arena 1v1, opening this up to all ELO ratings to try to get a decent sample size of over 300,000 games. Coming in at number 4 are Bohemians, at just over a 56% win rate. This is a civ that feels like it was made with Arena in mind, and while they're a bit slower to get their economy going, Arena is about the most forgiving map in that regard, with Bohemians then having a ton of great options once Castle Age rolls around. They have their always dangerous Hussite wagons to follow up a castle drop, stronger spear units, great monks, and faster moving higher HP villagers, along with the dangerous Hoofnitsa upgrade to the bombard cannon, giving it extra attack and splash damage. Bohemians even have a bit of a unique hand cannon rush, with chemistry and hand cannons available in Age earlier, as one of their signature Arena strategies. It's hard to believe, but there are 3 civs doing even better on Arena though. For example, next up we have the Romans. There's no real secret to their success here, as 5% more resources collected across the board is great on any map and at any skill level. They can then funnel those resources into their excellent swordsman line and scorpions, though Roman cavalry options are also quite strong as well. They're the only of the top arena civs to miss bombard cannon and gunpowder entirely for that matter, but I think again just comes down to raw economic power, which works well at any elo. Next, ever so slightly ahead of the Romans, are the Malay. They may not immediately come to mind on arena, but have some very nice advantages. First, their faster aging up bonus is strong on a map where a naked fast castle is fairly common, giving them a speed or villager numbers advantage. They then have battle elephants and goldless two-handed swordsmen to aim for, along with decent monks, arbalesters, and bombard cannons. Their pick rate implies they're going a little under the radar at the moment, but are having quite a bit of success when they are picked. Not quite as much as number 1 though, which is the same every year it seems, the Turks. Everything about this civ is set up for an incredible Imperial Age power spike on arena, between instant chemistry and gunpowder bonuses making them created faster and being more tanky. When most players think arena super strategies, they think Turk Fast Imperial, and it continues to be by far the Turks' best map in 1v1s, as civs struggle to handle gunpowder units knocking on their door as early as 22 or 23 minutes in game. Next though, let's move on to the best Nomad 1v1 civs. A quick note is that on Land Nomad, the clear winner is the Huns, and it's not even close. Starting with a free horse scout is simply the best bonus in the game for that map, and Huns are running away with Land Nomad on the back of it. Regular Nomad is a different story though, as Huns start with less wood, so have to forego an early dock, which knocks them down a fair bit, though are still the second most popular choice anyway, as a free scout is hard to pass up on. The most popular choice on Nomad is then actually Spanish, who don't crack the top 5 by win rate, but are definitely solid if they can get away with a fast castle and conquistador spam. The secret is definitely out when it comes to Spanish, though I suspect if anything their popularity might be holding them back at this point, as everyone knows what to expect from them. Instead, starting off the top 3 performing Nomad picks, we have the Persians. They get out to a nice start with extra resources along with faster working town centers and docks, which is ideal on a map where the basic opening includes a dock every time. Combine that consistently strong start with their cavalry options and you just have a solid Nomad civ. Next, with basically an identical win rate, though technically doing ever so slightly better, is then Dravidians. Their docks give 5 pop space, fishermen and fishing ships carry extra food, within 200 free wood in feudal. While they lack the mobility of Persians at the stable, they have some decent archers and infantry along with great siege, so they end up with lots of ways to capitalize on the strong start they get out to. Especially when fishing is the only food income you're guaranteed to have, it's not surprising that dock bonuses are so obviously being rewarded in the best civs. They're almost a full percentage point behind the number 1 civ though, which is Koreans. While they're not the oppressive tower civ they were in the past, towers are still very strong on Nomad, and remember their villagers have +3 line of sight, so Koreans are often able to snag a great town center location, as well as spot sheep, boar, and sometimes enemy town centers more easily as well. They then have some nice wood discounts on both land and water units, combining that with the always strong war wagon and aggressive towers, which seems as a package to be the winning formula these days. But with Nomad done, now let's move on to its spiritual successor, Megarandom. By far the most popular pick on this map is Mongols, and while I can't argue with the logic, having +2 line of sight on your scout, or even multiple scouts you start with, along with Megarandom sometimes being very generous with hunt, it's a solid choice, though for the top picks, the stats paint a slightly different picture. Various land civs have around a 53% win rate, plus or minus, including Georgians, Hindustanis, Spanish, Sicilians, Mongols, and Japanese as a happy surprise personally. Generally, it seems like a solid cavalry or hybrid map civ is the way to go, but the number 1 pick stands out so far ahead of the pack, it's really the only one worth talking about on a best civ list, and that's the Huns. It maybe shouldn't be a surprise that one of the most flexible civs in the game snags the top spot on a map you routinely have to adapt, but I think what's also helping is the Huns' guaranteed scout on nomadic starts making another appearance, which happens in about 10% of Megarandom rolls, in which case Megarandom at times becomes just a wackier version of Land Nomad. Being able to quickly recognize the critical features of the map generation you're on is such a large advantage, in addition to just being a solid pick even without the Nomad start. It makes Huns indisputably the strongest pick at the moment. Now though, it's time for the classic list of the top 1v1 Arabia civs. Arabia makes up about half of 1v1 games played, so we're going to look at the top 5 for this one. After that point, it gets tricky to tease apart what's a meaningful advantage versus just statistical noise, but these ones in particular stand out to me. At number 5 recently, with about a 53% win rate, we have the Vikings. Vikings have hovered around the top 5 on Arabia for years now, thanks to lucking out with the best eco bonus in the game. Free wheelbarrow and handcart is unequivocally huge in terms of first, the free resources for those techs, second, feeling their impact immediately when aging up, and third, ultimately having a villager advantage by freeing up town center work time. They did lose Thumbring a while back and are a little weak in the early stages, but once the farming boost from wheelbarrow kicks in, you always seem to reach castle and imperial age ahead of other civilizations. They're the only non-cavalry civ in the top 5, which is just a testament to how far a good economy can carry a civ. Next up at number 4, with basically the same win rate, we have the Franks. All of the reasons they're a premier pocket civ in team games also make them among the best in 1v1. They have a great scout opening into knights, and even if everyone in the world knows to expect cavalry, they just do it so well that Franks win anyway, at least winning slightly more than half the time, which gets you in a best civ list given the excellent balance of the game. While Frank picking is typically thought of as a new player crutch, their win rate actually gets better and better at higher elo, winning a lot of quick games on the back of a well-executed scout rush. Moving on, at number 3, we have the Mongols. I'm going to go a little against the grain here, and I'm ignoring their win rate, which is only 8th best, but I think there's something funny going on with that. Mongols are far and away the most popular choice on 1v1s, being chosen about 50% more often than Franks or the second most popular pick, Magyars. When you have so many players maining a single civ like players are with Mongols these days, it starts to undersell how good they are, as the elo system tries its best to put players in matchups where they'll win half the time. I'm going with the wisdom of the crowd here, and I think they're being picked a lot for a reason. While their early hunt bonus gives them inarguably a great Dark Age and Scout Rush, and the Mega Die is a top tier unique unit, what really seems to be happening is a lot of players going scouts into Steppe Lancers, which have extra HP for Mongols. Whether it's stacking them to blast through walls or to micro down enemy melee units, that extra range on a fast moving unit, along with the higher HP, the strong Mongol start to the game, and great cavalry archers makes them the most fashionable pick going into 2025. Still, we can do better. At number 2, next we again run into the Huns. It's another year with another ranking putting Huns near the top, and Huns are actually number 1 if you include all maps combined for 1000 elo and up. They're another aggressive civilization, this time with a massive wood savings on houses, and a very flexible combo of archery range and stable units. Where Mongols tend to win in the first 20 or 25 minutes, Huns really hit their stride a bit later in more developed games, as their cavalry archer discount starts to kick in. The cavalry archer has been an especially popular unit the last few months to a year, and it's not a surprise the civilization best able to mass them is performing very well. Though, let's be real, whatever the meta, Huns are always good at it, and have been a top 5 1v1 Arabia Civ every year since they came out in 2000. They still haven't taken the crown from last year's winner though, who are now on 3 years straight at number 1, and that's the Hindustanis. If Huns are a great illustration of the cavalry and cavalry archer dominance on the latter, Hindustanis are the kryptonite to that, with faster attacking camels and the Ghulam as an anti-archer specialist. Those are the easy things to point to, but really this probably has just as much to do with their strong economy discounting villagers throughout the game, which is an incredible bonus at any level of play. Add on to that camels and scouts having a bonus against buildings, helping put an extra level of pressure that camel and scout civs usually aren't able to against walls. That said, it's not really their early game where they close a lot of their wins, and instead it's in long games they're really showing off their potential, as their extra long-range hand cannons, Imperial Camel, Elite Ghulam, and anti-building Hussars enter the chat. So that's a rundown of the best civilizations on different maps and settings. Sorry if your favorite didn't make the cut, and obviously that just means they're underrated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.